Okay, yeah. So we are saying that, or we were saying that for a monopoly, it has the this as the demand or average revenue curve. Yeah, actually, this is supposed to be the average revenue curve. Average revenue curve, and then we have the marginal revenue curve, and then we have the marginal cost curve, and then we have the average cost curve. But of course, we know that profit maximizing output is found at the point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Yeah, so profit is found at the point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So we have marginal revenue curve, this one, and then we have the marginal cost curve. So the only thing that we really need to be careful about when we are drawing this graph is understanding where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So look at this. Marginal cost is this one. Marginal revenue is this one. So the two are intersecting there. Okay? So now, for us to determine the level of output that maximizes output, you just do as under perfect competition. You check, or you go to the axis containing output, meaning that our profit maximizing output is this one, Q1. And then for us to determine the price, we'll have to go up to the average revenue curve, or to the average revenue, and then we connect that to price. Okay, so our output maximizing, so our profit maximizing output is Q1, and the price that is going to help us maximize our profit is P1. In short, for a monopoly, it has to produce Q1 and sell it at P1. Okay, so what I'm saying is that this diagram may apply in the short run or the long run. Yeah, the only difference in the short run and the long run equilibrium for a monopolist is that in the long run, okay, so in the long run, marginal revenue, which is this curve, will equal the long run marginal cost. So in the long run, the only difference between the short and the long run for a monopoly is that, well, just that the marginal revenue curve, instead of being equal to marginal cost as it is in the case of the short run, in the long run, the marginal revenue should equal long run marginal cost, which we call LMC, the long run marginal cost. Everything else holds. Okay, everything else will hold. Why? Because it's one firm, and this firm does not allow other firms to enter into the industry. Therefore, it makes more sense that everything else will remain constant. Yeah, because ZESCO has been ZESCO throughout. There is no another company that can compete with ZESCO. Yeah, so ZESCO is still ZESCO. So the only difference between the ZESCO of Kaunda and the ZESCO of now is because of this component called the long run marginal cost. Yeah, everything else is the same. Okay, so now how do we show profit for a monopoly? How do we show profit for a monopoly? What we are seeing is that at this profit maximizing output, average revenue is there. Okay, average revenue is there when average cost is there. Therefore, average revenue is greater than average cost, meaning that we are making a profit. So this particular monopoly is actually making a profit. Why? Because it's able to produce Q1 at a point where average revenue is higher than average cost. Therefore, this particular monopoly is actually making profits. Okay, so there is this question that these guys enjoy bringing, yeah, and this question looks at the differences of the differences between, or comparisons, really. You are comparing perfect competition and monopoly. So it's a comparison of perfect competition and monopoly. They really bring questions about this, yeah. Why? Because we know that under perfect competition, because you're a price taker, you'll be forced to produce whatever the level of output and sell it at a price that is determined by the market. But under monopoly, you are able to produce this small amount and sell this small amount at a higher price. Why? Because consumers have got no choice but to buy at that higher price. Okay? So, in short, at the end of it all, what we want to look at is this comparison. Why is that diagram? These people, they didn't show it here. Anyways, I'll show you the differences really graphically. It makes more sense. So, what we know is that a monopoly will produce a lower output and sell this low output at a higher price. Okay, so for a monopoly, it's normal to produce a lower output and sell it at a higher price. But for a perfectly competitive firm, you cannot produce a lower output and sell it at a higher price, because moreover, you cannot even influence price. So you don't have this privilege, this power, to produce this lower output and sell it at a higher price at the end of it all. Okay, so yeah, at the end of it all, a monopoly will always produce a lower output and sell it at a higher price because it has got market power. But for firms under perfect competition, they'll be forced to produce this large, this huge number of output, huge quantity, and sell it at a lower price, as long as that lower price is the one that has been determined by the market. Okay, so that's the primary difference between a monopoly and perfect competition. It is this graph that I was looking for. We are glad that we've found it. So look at this. Let us start with monopoly. Monopoly is going to produce QM level of output, which is quantity produced by monopoly, at this point where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and then sell this price. So